Hi, welcome to this week's episode of This Full Life. I'm Tara Davis, and I'm so excited to share with you an experience that I had, several experiences that I had over this past weekend. I had gone to an event, a transformation event a group that I belong to, a year-long coaching program. And so I love meeting with these people. You know, when you have that tribe of people that you just love being around. So that's where I was this weekend, and I'm still just so vibing high off of all the energy. But I really wanted to talk to you about these two lessons that I learned. One lesson that I learned, which was just fantastic for me, because sometimes I'm in a space that it's uncomfortable to really speak my truth and figure out how to make it about me and not about the other person. I'm not here to hurt anyone's feelings, but to know that I'm so taking care of me. So here's what transpired, and I want to walk you through so that you can use this in your own life and see how this unfolded. So I had initially scheduled to be a roommate with one of the girlfriends in our program. And so we met and we rode on the plane together, and then we got to the hotel, and I kept getting this really off vibe. I was noticing it, and then we got to the hotel, and it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be, a different hotel than where our convention was. And my stomach was just really tight, like in a ball. And so I was noticing all of these internal reactions that I was having, one with this girl, with this woman, right? And it wasn't her, it was me. I was having these internal struggles and reactions. And then the hotel itself, just different than what I was used to staying in. So we got to the room and we sat down, and I said, I am just really having some wonky vibes, and I'm not sure what to do about this. So she kind of guided me through like a little bit of close your eyes and just really feel into it. And as soon as I did, I knew exactly what it was. Our energy was a really different match. It wasn't that either one of us was bad, or that I was looking at her as bad. It was that our energy was at a really different match. It was at a really different space. And so I said, now that I know what it is, like the old part of me wanted to go, it's okay, and not speak up. It was such an amazing gift for me that I got to speak up. And so I said, it's actually us. It's our energy. Like, we aren't vibing together. And I think part of it is the hotel as well. It just doesn't feel good to me, and I need to make a shift. And so I sat with that for a couple of hours, because we were going over to the host hotel that was holding the convention and meeting up with all the rest of the people that were going to be there for the weekend. So I just sat with what I had said and the vibration that I was holding, that internal struggle with checking in and having that weird pit in my stomach, and kind of that knot, right? That knot in your stomach when you know something is not right. And so, coming from being a full-on codependent, that part of me came up and said, are you really willing to let her know that there's an energy clash, or that you guys just aren't matching? Like, are you really willing to put that out there? Because when we do, what we're doing is opening ourselves up for the other person to potentially lash back out. And so by me saying what I had said, it's just our energy. Like, we're just not matching. We're not vibing. We're in a different space. We're in a different vibration. It's us. I opened myself up for the possibility that what she could have done was react in a totally different way, and it had come from a totally different space than where I was coming from. I didn't make it wrong or right. Neither one of us was bad. It's just what was going on for me. And so again, I sat with this for several hours. And so it became time later in the evening to go back. I said, you know what? I'm going to go room with another friend that I had already checked in with. They had space. And so I let her know I was just going to go room with another friend. I took care of the logistics. But again, that piece of vulnerability of letting her know that even though we had planned this out, and even though we had already used the credit card, that I just needed to take care of me in that space, and I needed to take care of me and go find another roommate. It is what it is. It was that neither of us were wrong. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that with you because it's oftentimes like the old piece of me really wanted to come in and make sure that I was okay with whatever she was going to bring. Like, are you sure that you are ready and available and willing? There might be backlash. And what if there is backlash? Then what are you going to do? It's having that strength in ourselves to, first of all, call it for what it is without wanting to be that people pleaser and just kind of push it under the carpet. Right? I mean, we all have that little piece of us still that wants to be that incredible people pleaser so that we'll just have friends or that someone will just like me or just love me. We almost put ourselves so far back that we forget we have to take care of us. We're not here to make sure that everyone else is happy. We're here to make sure that we're happy first and that physically we're okay. Because besides having all of these, this internal strife and grief, I knew that if I continued and slept there, that I wouldn't really sleep very well because I was having all these internal issues. And then I would not be fresh and ready for the 2 days that were coming up, a full on two days of full on mind shifting amazing information. I had to take care of me. Like I had to be the best piece of me. So she really brought me a gift. She brought me that gift of being able to speak up and to say what I needed to say, to take care of me first, and then if I wanted to worry about her. And so I used all of my communication and made sure that it was completely about me, not about her. And I even just sent her a thank you note for actually opening up that space for me to claim my strength, to claim that piece of me that I know needed to take care of me and that I know needed to speak out and make sure that it was me that was being put first, not her feelings and her thoughts and her reactions and the possibility of what could happen when I say, I need to move rooms. So that was one thing, which was a really great big learning tool for me. The second piece that I learned this weekend was also, like probably 2 to 3 podcasts ago, 2 to 3 weeks ago, I talked about what we use to keep people away. Like, what are those characteristics that we keep people at bay? Keep them just at arm's length so they don't fully know us, so we don't have to be fully vulnerable with everybody because we all have something that we're kind of still hiding right back here. I mean, we will always be on that journey of growth and unfolding. And so there's always that little piece that we maybe don't even know that we're hiding back here. And so I found another piece this weekend, and it was through leadership. And so I'm just naturally a really good leader. I love being in the leadership role. I think I'm a really good delegator. I'm really good at being that front person who gives really good direction. And so I've been in that leadership role so many times. And so let me also say, I'm also a really good follower because most of the time I want to be in charge and be a leader. That's just me. But I also sometimes just want to follow. Like I just want to give my brain a break and I just want to follow. And I'm really comfortable being a follower when I know there is a super confident leader in charge. Just give me the directions and I will do it. And so we did an amazing exercise, which was actually really fun. It got us out of we had to use the creative space in our brain versus the analytical space of our brain, which is what we use so much in business. And so we got to get in that creative space with art tools and crafts and all of this. And so one of the other girls in our group took charge, and I already know her. I know her personality. She's really good at leading, really good at delegating, and she's incredibly super creative. And so I observed myself, like I just watched myself take a back seat and be told what to do, and just kind of watched the group as they interacted with each other, as they took as they let our group leader lead each person. They took direction from our leader, as did I. And so I actually was really in the observation piece of watching how our group really came together and worked so well with this creative space that we were given. So that in taking that backseat role and doing the little piece that I was contributing, but in also being the observer, here's what I learned. I learned that I have also been using the leadership role. That's what I was going to say. Hold on. What was it, like three podcasts ago, when I talked about using my big personality as keeping others at bay. And we talked about all the different ways that we do that. So just as soon as I had thought, I'm really willing to be vulnerable, and there's nothing that I'm doing anymore that keeps others out, one more showed up. I shouldn't even say one more, another showed up, because I'm sure there's way more. So I was using that leadership role to keep others like at an arm's length. Like when you're in charge and when you're delegating, you're not necessarily as vulnerable as you can be. And I just got that piece as I sat and watched everyone else and watched our leader do an amazing job. I realized that I have been, not in a conscious way, but in an unconscious way, using that space. And again, I'm really good at it. I love being in that leadership role. But I've been using it simultaneously to keep others at a distance so as not to share too much of myself, or not to let you in too much, because if I'm leading, I'm giving direction and I'm not really processing, right? So that was an amazing awakening for me. Like I felt another physical layer open from my heart, like just opened, and another layer fell away. And it felt really good to be in that space of vulnerability again and openness without judgment. I mean, this group that I am in for the next year is so many entrepreneurs that have heart-centered work that they do. And so I don't feel judged by this group, which is why it's so easy for me to let these layers fall off that I didn't even know were built up. And so as I continue through this process with this particular group, I'm really curious to see where I am emotionally in the next year. Because each time we meet in the physical space, which is like every 2.5 months, something else falls away. And I'm willing to be more open and be more vulnerable in that space. So, this week's challenge. Where is it that you are still allowing yourself to not be vulnerable, to not really show up. Because if every single one of us on the planet has all these shields, I mean, we could have a shield, 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 right? We could have so many shields up around us that no one gets in. Not good, not a good space to be in. But if we become willing to be in that vulnerable place and be open and allow others to see who we really are, it allows the other person and other people around us to equally be as vulnerable and open and raw. We allow others to see the core of us. So I invite you this week to find a space, find a friend that you can open up to, because when we actually make it a priority to become more available and more vulnerable, that space shows up. Like a friend will come in and you'll get that little voice that says, just be available, just be vulnerable. Let them know that you're human too. Like a couple of girlfriends and I went out to dinner one night. We sat for, I think, 3 hours and laughed and cried and laughed and cried. It was being available. Like I just allowed myself, as did the other two, to be so emotionally raw and available. I haven't done that in a long, long time. And it felt so good. In fact, when we got back to each of us were sleeping in separate rooms, in different rooms. And so the next morning we had said, I met with one of the girls before we left, and she said, oh my God, that was so intense. Like I haven't felt that raw and vulnerable. Like we both went back to our rooms and grabbed chocolate because we just didn't know what to do. But here's the thing. We acknowledged what we were doing. We knew that that chocolate was trying to cover a piece of that, what we were doing. But there's the difference of doing it unconsciously. Like, do you get what I mean? So if we were to have gone back to the room and just started eating all this chocolate and not knowing why and just continuing versus, yeah, I was just so raw and available and I have not done that in years. All right, I'm going to have a couple of pieces of chocolate. So we both had said that we did the same thing and we just got another laugh because it was on the plane of consciousness versus being unconscious of the patterns. But even saying that just felt so good to be available and open at an open space to allow others to share with us. So find that person this week that comes to you with something where you would normally kind of put up a shield and get a little bit holier than thou. Allow your shoulders to drop. Breathe in to the situation. Try not to one up. Try not to be in competition with the conversation or give one better or give a solution to the problem. Just be available. So many times when we think, oh, I got a solution for you, it kind of gives us that one up piece, right? Or, oh, I can totally rate, mine's better than yours. Stop. Whatever your pattern is that you notice, because we all have them. We all have that pattern. Like even coming back and sitting on the airplane, there was a guy who was talking about his travels and he was headed over to Singapore for 3 weeks. I really wanted to like dive into my diatribe too of, oh, we've traveled all over the place as well. And here it was, which kind of would have put me, I felt like it would have put me in a different spot. And I opened my mouth to say, oh, we've lived. And then I just kind of went, yeah, we've lived in some different places too, but continue, tell me your story. So I really stopped myself like in mid-sentence because I thought, I don't want to one-up you. I don't want to be one better than you. And I recognized while it was happening what I was doing. And I stopped it. I wanted to stop it. I didn't want to go there to that place of making sure that I was better or making sure that I had more experiences or maybe I've experienced something way better than you, which puts us at that one up level. So I invite you to see this week and listen to that little whisper. Where is it that you can be open and available and vulnerable where it doesn't usually come up for you? Thanks for that. This is so fun. I just love this sharing space because I love the more vulnerable I find myself, the more vulnerable I want to be with you so that you can be more vulnerable in your life. So leave some comments, leave some experiences that you've had in the last week or that just come to mind that you have consciously made yourself available to someone else. And I'll see you next week.